Well, it is a new year, my go-getters. Happy new year. And I just got to say welcome again to another episode of the G Code. It is 2016. And in 2016, as we kick it off, I personally want to make sure that each and every person that I bring inside the G Code, like I have done last year, will be someone that will really impart into your soul, get you motivated to make a change, and direct you to a place that they can help you to do so. In today's episode, you're in for a treat because this lady is making a change in so many women's lives, in so many lives of individuals who really want to be better and definitely live richer. And if you know who I'm talking about by that alone, be quiet, because she's about to get into the G Code and talk to you and tell you her story, the pretty, the ugly, and the grind, and drop some G codes on you that I believe will be life-changing in this unchanging world. Well, my go-getters, it's time to jump into it. If you're ready for it, welcome to the G Code. Hey, what's up, my go-getters? It is me, ADRI.V, the Go Getta, and welcome again to another edition of the G Code. It is a new year, and many of us is saying new year, new me, doing things differently, writing out our New Year's resolution, which always has to do with being fit. One, definitely being fit when it comes to your body, being fit mentally, and one of the biggest ones is being fit financially. And with me on the line, I have as the featured go-getter of the week is none other than Tiffany Aliche, and she is the woman with the brand all about living richer, of course, but we go by the name of the Budgetnista. Hey, Tiffany, how are you?
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
No, I am excited to be here. One, because I follow the movement and I am all a part of being a dream catcher, not a dream chaser. And I'm all for the challenge that we have going on. So for those who may not know who you are and are following your movement, can you please just give them a quick synopsis of Tiffany Aliche?
Well, first I want to say, yes, I love the fact that you made the distinction between dream catching and dream chasing.
Yes.
Words mean things, and they're important. And so, so I like to call myself America's favorite financial educator.
Yes, you are.
And basically, my job and my life's work is to teach people the basic financial things you probably should have learned in school or at home, but likely did not. Like how to budget, how to save, how to get out of debt, how to fix your credit, basic investing, insurance. So like that basic core financial knowledge.
Right.
And that's what I do. And I started my business, the Budgetnista, specifically to start speaking to women about personal finance, because I found that no one was really speaking to us in a way that honored the fact that we were women, and especially women of color. No one was speaking to women of color at all.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, that's why I started the Budgetnista, and we've been doing it. I've been at it since 2000, really in like 2010, and it's been going strong ever since.
And I mean, it's going beyond strong, because every time I follow you on social media and you're everywhere, you're jumping from one place to the next, you're presenting for so many people. And I just love to see you whenever you post, because it's just like, oh my God, like she really went from this situation that she talked about to where you are now. And the whole G Code is all about the pretty, the ugly, and the grind. So the pretty is I get to follow you on social media. I get to check you on your live YouTube videos that you get a chance to replay later, but we get to see the pretty of you moving and grooving. You have 3 books now, correct?
Correct.
Yes, 3 books now, and we get to see you promoted. You're going out to talk to so many people. So from the pretty standpoint, what are some of the blessings about being in the position that you are in now?
Well, so I started something in 2015, in this January 2015, called the Live Richer Challenge, because so many women, when I started the Budgetnista, it was really an in-person brand. So I would go, I would teach, I would physically see people. And then I would use social media to just share, like, had a great time speaking at this organization, or, speaking for Prudential or the United Way. And then women from across the country started hitting me up saying, I want to come to your class. Now, I live in New Jersey. And I'm like, well, unless you're going to fly out to New Jersey, how are you going to come?
Right.
But I kept getting that request over and over. And I thought, well, I used to actually be a school teacher for a number of years, for about 10 years. And I thought, well, what if I formed a class? And what if I created a curriculum and taught what I taught in person? And what if I taught it online? And so I created it and called it the Live Richer Challenge. And so I made this ambitious goal, and I said, January 2015, I want to help 10,000 women nationwide.
Wow.
Well, it went so well, we ended up helping 20,000 women worldwide.
Right.
And I was like, whoa. And then I said, you know what? It went so well because the women collectively, we saved over $4 million and paid off over $500,000 worth of debt collectively. And so I thought, wow, you know what? Let me do this challenge every year. So the new Live Richer Challenge just launched.
Your birthday, too.
Thank you. And what I love about it now is we went from 20,000 women to 60,000 women. All 50 states, over 70 countries are collectively working on their finances together. So this is going to be our New Year's tradition, that every January we work on our money together. So we get 100,000, 500,000, 1 million women every single year doing this. And so that's kind of like the perks of doing what I'm doing, is that I get to see the shift. Like, so you know, like Straight Outta Compton,
yes.
They had like that cool app that you can make your own meme.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what? I want to do that. And so I found a developer, and he made me this app. So instead of Straight Outta Compton or I'm Straight Out of, you write I am saving for in a similar box, and then you could post it. And to see people post that box, people who, like, I went to middle school with, high school with, who I don't interact with, but somehow they've connected with the brand, it's just amazing to me. And that's one of the perks, is to really see in person what, like, how people's lives are actually being changed. Like, to me, that is really the biggest perk, is when someone says, I was struggling, or I was homeless. A woman was homeless to owning a home after doing the challenge.
Wow.
People left, like, a woman left her abusive husband. He was using their money to hold her hostage, basically, and being physically abusive. She was actually able to leave as a result of doing the challenge. People are buying homes, going on vacations for the first time, being able to make their families' lives better. And so that is the core. So that's the perk for me, is to see that lives are changed, and it's free. People always ask me, like, well, how are you able to do it for free? Well, I speak and I teach, and I get hired by large companies to kind of like fly around the nation and speak. And so that pays me, and then I'm able to give back to people who need it most through the challenge.
Absolutely. And they say, when you have a hand that's open to give, your hand is always open to receive. So the more you're able to bless others, you become a blessing, and then you're blessed in return. And it's just such a wonderful thought that you have. And with you creating this challenge, you have no clue that you would touch someone like me who struggle. We all struggle with our finances, and I'm an emotional shopper. And when I go into an emotional place, I just want to shop, and it makes me feel good in that moment, which is like a high. You get that hit, right? And then afterwards, you're looking at the thing you just purchased, like, I don't even really need this. So you are really blessing so many people. And I just think it's a beautiful thing, because getting a chance to follow you and know you speak about how your father was the individual who really taught you this from jump. So if you could go into that, because you were taught to live richer even at a young age.
Yeah, I was fortunate. My father was a CFO and an accountant. And so he and my mom, together, they had 5 girls. And so they talked to us about money all the time. And he in particular used to actually give us money lessons. Like, this is how you budget. This is how you save. This is how you pay down debt. This is what credit means. And as a result, I was brought up, because I was brought up that way, I was never afraid to talk about money or understand what money meant. And even though I made mistakes in my 20s, I knew how to fix them, because I had the core knowledge that I had learned at home. And what I found was that at the heart of everything that I do, I'm a teacher. I used to be a preschool teacher. I used to teach Sunday school. I played teacher as a little girl. I'm a teacher. And so if there's information that I'm interested in, I'm going to teach it, whether it's when I went natural or how to cook something. But right now, I'm just in love with personal finance. So that's what I teach. And so when he was teaching me, I was sharing that information with my friends. It started in college, and then it grew. And so as a result, when I lost my teaching job in 2009 during the height of the recession, because our school lost its funding, I still wanted to teach. But I thought, well, what other ways can I teach? Because I was kind of tired of being in the classroom. And one of the things I was doing just to volunteer was teaching financial education. And so people started asking me how much I cost. And I thought, I don't cost anything. And then my best friend was like, well, you kind of don't have a job. You might want to cost something. That's how the Budgetnista.
Right.
That's how it was born.
Wow. And thank God for a best friend. And, you spoke about the 2009 era of losing a job. And I just remember graduating from undergrad in 2009 and almost landing, well, not even almost. I landed an internship at CNN during the summer, and I was supposed to be hired once I graduated. But because of the financial circumstance that we all were in, there were no upward movement. The position that was open wasn't open anymore. And oh my gosh, I remember crumbling, having had worked so hard to get an opportunity. And when I think about you mentioning you losing your job during that time, I just think about so many people were affected in that manner. And, this kind of brings us to the ugly aspect of the grind. During that time, how were you able to even sustain or even keep your sanity and to think creatively in such a manner?
I think what helped, well, it was a really trying time, but what helped was that it was not just a trying time for me. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like Tiffany, it was like a regular, like how it is right now, and I lost my job. In 2009, it was unemployment was an epidemic.
Yeah, it was.
So I lost my job, and all I had to do was look to the left, my best friend, my other best friend, my other friend. So there was literally half the people I knew seemed like they lost their job. So it made it a little bit more bearable because it was like, I'm not alone.
Right.
And everybody who kind of lost their job that I knew was in my same age range. So it was like, if you were to say, like, because at the time I was 29, going on 30. Now, normally, like 30, moving back home, oh, look at your life, right?
Right.
But back then, because everyone had lost their job, there was no shame in moving back home. Everybody moved back home.
Yeah.
And so it made what was not okay feel not as bad because you were in company. Like, oh, we're all broke. Yay. And so it was crazy. But during that time, and there's statistics that have shown this, I think the New York Times did a story about this, that from that era, a huge boost in entrepreneurship has happened. Because so many people lost their jobs so suddenly that there was, like, people always tell me, like, oh my God, you're so brave to own your own business. It's not bravery that's made us own our own business. It was anger. It was like, man, I'm not going back to a job where I could just lose it just because.
Right.
I might as well start my own. And so a lot of my friends, honestly, about more than half of my friends now are entrepreneurs because of that time. Nobody wanted to go back to what used to be safe because we learned that that's not true, that there was no safety in a job, that really the best place to be safe is growing something yourself because at least you knew.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's what made it. I mean, it was hard. I mean, at the time, I bought a house when I was 25. I was doing well. I had retirement money. I had money saved, and all that was gone. I lost my house to foreclosure. I ended up moving back home. I ended up moving with my sisters. Because my parents were really strict, even though I was 29, and they still wanted me to have a curfew. And so I lived in my sister's living room for nearly a year until she couldn't take me anymore because I wasn't helping with anything financially. The only thing that kept me afloat was unemployment. Back then, they extended it for 2 years because so many people were without work, so it wasn't 6 months anymore. So for 2 years, I kind of lived off unemployment, which wasn't even half of what I normally made. A friend of mine who was also broke and unemployed was like, hey, girl, there's a room that you can rent out. A room.
A room.
Well, I want my house. But you know what? It was the best thing ever because everybody who lived in that house was an entrepreneur, or at least an up-and-coming entrepreneur. So it was like we were all renting these rooms for $500 in this like really nice brownstone. But we would all gather in the common meeting areas and help each other with our businesses. Like, oh, you're a graphic designer? I need a logo. Oh, you're an instructor? I need to figure out how to write my curriculum. And so it was, even though it was like, dang, Tiffany, you're living in a room, people were jealous of us. Like, oh, you're so lucky. You get to live with all these awesome entrepreneurs who are your age.
Right.
And we rolled deep. So, looking back at it now, a room, but it really planted the seed of one. A lot of those people now I still do business with. Those people are doing amazing now. And I built these relationships during time when things were really rough. So these are really strong relationships. So yeah, it was rough times, but now we're all doing great, honestly.
And, that's a great saying. My grandfather used to always say, rough time builds rough people and stronger people at that. And so it sounds like during that rough time, you've created and formed an alliance with people who really know what it means to be on a grind. And of course, you know, we talk about the pretty, the ugly, and the grind to success. So many people don't really get a chance to see the late nights, early mornings, non-sleeping. And from all that you have done, from being, you know, having #1 bestseller on Amazon to traveling to these many places and making connections with major entities, like you mentioned, United Way. I used to actually work for them once upon a time. Prudential, the NAACP, you know, Dress for Success, Huffington Post, you know, even being featured on there as well. It's just like the grind had to have been from a place of, like you said, anger, and a place of a desire of not wanting to go back to where you came from. So if you want to speak, can we speak a little bit about the grind? You know, what are some of the biggest sacrifices you feel you have made, even when you felt like you sacrificed it all, and really pushing to turn the Budgetnista into the brand it is, in this Live Richer challenge, into this movement that it has grown to be?
Well, definitely. Like, I couldn't afford. I mean, at one point I could afford to live elsewhere, but I had to make a choice: pay an extra $500 a month for my own place, or put that $500 back into my business. And there is no, I don't work Saturdays and Sundays. I was working, at one point it was like 12, 13, 14, 15-hour days, just working, sitting in front of my computer, round the clock, like coming up with curriculum, answering emails, writing presentations, reaching out to people to try to get hired. There's definitely, especially if you're an entrepreneur, the money is funny. So one month you might make a lot of money, and you're like, I made $10,000. And then the next month you might make $10. And managing that, the hardest part of the grind is the emotional toll, because success, first of all, success is not for the weak. Like, it seems like, oh my gosh, you know, like, it's so easy when things are going great, but sometimes when things are going great in your business, that's the hardest time, because that's when people come for you. And I'm usually really happy-go-lucky. I'm the type of person that everybody loves. Like, oh, Tiffany, I love Tiffany. And so as things started to grow, sometimes you don't get that love, not because you've done anything, but just because it breeds like different energy from different people. For them, I would say I'm really fortunate, because in comparison to most of my friends, I still get like 99.9% love. You know, but still, sometimes when people come at me, I'm like, what?
Right, where is this coming from?
What is this even me? I didn't do anything to you. Or when people want things from you and they have not put any effort toward your brand. Like, people ask me all the time if they can, like, solicit via I have a private Facebook group of about 55,000 people who are part of the Live Richer Challenge, and people want to post their businesses there. And I'm like, no. People will get angry and tell me I'm selfish. I'm like, I'm selfish because I put my hard-earned time, money, and energy into creating this group, and I won't let you make money from my energy.
Right.
And so, but like I said, the emotional aspect is the hardest, because it's very lonely when you're working on your business. Because even if you have a boo and you have supporters and you have friends, unless you have like a business partner, nobody gets it. That's your baby. And so it can be, the baby could take up all your time and energy. So you sacrifice time with loved ones, with friends, you know. Well, thankfully, like I said, most of my friends are entrepreneurs, so they get it. There are times where I might talk to them, might not talk to them for a week. And when I pop back up, they're not like, oh, where you been? They know.
They know you've been grinding.
So it's, like I said, I'm getting much better at managing the emotional aspect of not allowing people to bother me, you know. Meaning, like, if someone said something mean, to know that it's not about me because they don't know me personally. Also, too, that's what's hard, is that I'm usually really open and giving, and I found that I cannot be as open as I used to be, because there are those who will literally bleed you dry. And so even learning that lesson, like, well, when do you say no? I'm not used to saying no. I'm usually like, yeah, sure. I'm a middle child of 5 girls. You learn to be very accommodating when you're in the middle. Because the older one wants this, the baby wants that, and you're like, okay. That's my nature, you know? And, like, I was saying okay to everything until I was exhausted. Like, it wasn't until I got really sick last year. Like, and I don't get sick. I taught preschool for 10 years, so the first year of teaching preschool, you get really sick because the kids just cough in your face all the time.
Right.
And then finally, you have an immune system that is like none other because you have had every sickness possible. So I had not gotten sick in literally like 10 years.
Wow.
And, you know, so I got sick, but not like, oh, I have a cold sick, like laying on my back. I could not get out of bed. Meanwhile, I did not have Obamacare or insurance. I hope I don't die in this room sick. And I was like, what is going on? And it was my body's way of saying, it's too much.
Yep.
It's too much.
Exactly.
You are going to break us. I get that you're trying to accomplish something, but you're breaking us. And so finally I had to say, Tiffany, okay, like you have to pull back. And so they don't tell you about that part. Now, I'm not here to complain about entrepreneurship because honestly, I wake up and I'm like, man, I could do whatever I want to do.
Right.
Now, if you don't put in work, you're not going to get paid, but I can still do whatever I want. You know? And so there are days when I don't feel like it. And I'm like, you know what? I love Golden Girls. I'm about to have a Golden Girls marathon and sit in my PJs and relax. And then tonight, I'll put in the work. Or like, you know, I'm going to work now. And like even now when we get off the phone, I have more work to do. But I can decide. I have way more freedom. I really enjoy what I do for a living. You know, it's a joy to me. I was doing it for free before, so now to get paid for something that I would give away for free is even better. I get to travel the world and work with amazing people and companies, so the upside of entrepreneurship, for me, far outweighs the other parts that don't seem like upside, you know? But that's just the honest truth, that it's not easy, and the better you get at it, the more trials and tribulations that you're going to have to learn how to overcome.
You know, Biggie said it best, you know, more money, more problems, just a little bit. Sometimes we got to take those things into consideration. And, you know, you mentioned and you hit on a valid area of really having to be your own pusher, you know, and being your own decision maker when it comes to you being successful. Like you said, you know, you can make a decision. I'm going to sit here and watch this TV for a second and do some work later. But another question that comes into play when you are an entrepreneur, and I can say a person looking to achieve their dreams as a dream catcher, you know, as you would say, you have to remain motivated on a daily. You know, what do you do to keep Tiffany motivated? And how do you turn off? Because I feel like listening to you and getting a chance to follow you and see you, Tiffany is the Budgetnista. And sometimes people take on two personas. But how do you keep yourself motivated even when it's just like, I don't feel like being the Budgetnista today?
Yeah, and then literally I have days where I literally say that I don't want to be the Budgetnista. You know, like it's so funny because literally like 2 days ago I was telling my boyfriend that. I was like, man, I don't want to be the Budgetnista today. I just want to be Tiffany. And sometimes I don't know how to turn it off. You know, like everything I talk about is business. Like someone asked me, how are you doing today? And I said, oh, I'm doing really good. The challenge is great. They're like, no.
I asked you.
How is Tiffany? Yeah, how is Tiffany? And I didn't even know. I'm like, what do you mean, how's Tiffany doing? Who's she?
Right.
You know? And so I had to be like, wait, how am I doing? But today's a good day. Today, honestly, was a great day. I feel good. I hope you can hear in my voice. So,
yes.
You know, that, you know, but every day is not a great day. Sometimes you have, like, you know, stuff behind the scenes. But how I stay motivated for me is I only pick things that make me want to do them. So there are times when if I'm working on a project and I'm dragging my feet and I'm dragging my feet and I'm dragging my feet, I tell myself, Tiffany, do you really want to do this? Even if it's good money, because there's been times, like for example, I used to do one-on-one coaching, and it was great money. It's still the number one thing people ask me for, great money. But I used to drag my feet, and then I realized you don't like it. I don't like one-on-one coaching.
Wow.
I like teaching in front of a group. I like speaking. I like doing series. I don't like doing one-on-ones. And I was like, so why are you doing it? So I cut it out. Literally one day I just said, you know what, no more. Because for me personally, my personality works like this. If it does not interest me, it does not get done. So like I might get an A in algebra because I found algebra interesting, but an F in art because I didn't like it. So it's not about how easy something is. For me, it's really about how interested are you in this. And so it's really critical that if you are going to start a business, or just even as a person, the more quickly you can figure yourself out, what moves you, and I know what moves me. Interest moves me, helping moves me, service moves me, a challenge moves me. So now that I've honed in on what moves me, everything that I'm working on right now moves me. There are other opportunities to make more money. Honestly, I could have already had $1 million brand already if I'd taken these other opportunities, but they did not move me, so I would not have put in my best work. And so there's just a natural motivation, because it's like asking someone, well, how do you keep eating ice cream every night? What do you mean? I love ice cream.
Right.
You know? So I don't have to force myself to get to it. There are days when I'm tired, but ultimately I'm passionate about my projects. And so, yeah, that's key for me. So some people are moved by money. Some people are moved straight, like by fixing something. Whatever your motivation is, lean into that and really try to get rid of those things that are not in alignment with your natural motivation.
Ooh, that's rich. That's rich. I love, that's a true G code right there. Because you really just think about it. I always tell people, you find a job you love to do, you never work a day in your life. And that is something that my teacher taught me when I was in high school. And I will never forget Mr. Wright for that. And, I've always said, if I was able to be Miss America, right? And they asked me the question, what would you want for the world? I just like for everyone to do what they love, because what you said is so valid. If a person is not interested in doing it, they're not going to do it well. They're going to drag. And you can see that in service when you're at a restaurant, someone really don't feel like working, when you're coming to a customer service desk, and they really don't want to be there. You can see that in all different professions if this person is really not interested in being there. And, what would you say to someone who's so many people who are in positions or even in a job that they're really not interested in, but they're doing it for the money alone? From a budgetnista standpoint, because it's like, hey, this is my job, this is all I got, but I really don't care for it.
Well, I would say that I would not have quit teaching. My job just left me. So what I would say is, if your job is not fulfilling you in that way, find out what does fulfill you and volunteer or do that on the side. Meaning, so that's how you start to make the slowly but surely switch, right? So Absolutely. It's like, okay, for example, my sister used to work for a financial institution as a analyst, hated it, but she really loves fashion. She wanted to be a buyer. So on the side, one of my other friends had a boutique, so she would help him buy clothes for the boutique. She actually buys all my Budgetnista clothes, whenever I speak or I'm on TV or whatever, she gets clothes to me. Yep, she does it for all my sisters. And so she was slowly but surely doing that on the side to kind of offset her unhappiness at work, until the unhappiness at work reached a fever peak. And then she finally left and was able to find a junior buyer's position at a major fashion organization. Wow. And so you see what I mean? So it's like you kind of do your thing on the side, and slowly but surely, that way you can get some experience. She would not have been able to make the leap from financial analyst to buyer. Right. But because she had these things on the side, she could put those side things on her resume. And as a result, when she made the leap, it was like she was able, so what happened was that the first job was a temp job. Somebody was pregnant, and they were like, well, you don't have a whole lot of experience, but you have some. And so we'll let you do this temp job while this lady's out for 3 months. And I told her, when you go there, rock out. Make them be like, we don't want that lady to come back. And that's what happened. It's not that they didn't want the lady to come back, but they loved her so much, they found a position just so they could keep her.
Wow.
And so, so that's what I say, that if you're in a place where you don't love it, I'm not saying leave, but figure out what you can do on the side to help to start to supplement what you need. And eventually you're going to have to make a choice, because usually what happens is that side gig starts to take up more time. And, then if you can, really think about taking the leap. If you hate what you're doing now, then you need to stack that money. No more vacations, no more do your own hair, whatever that is. So that way you can start preparing to take that leap. My sister had about 8 months worth of savings, because she knew, I hate this job. And so she was saving. Because it took her about 6 months to find the replacement.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's what I say, is that stack your coin at the place you're not in love with, do what you love on the side, then eventually take the leap and rely on that money that you have saved. Hopefully you can also get unemployment and go hard for what you really want.
Absolutely. And that is so valid, even with, as we move into the talk about the G codes. Now, I feel like even through our conversation, you have dropped so many codes, it's like, okay, I got to go back and listen to this one so I can pull this one out. But, in life, we all, some people have their own mission statement, their vision for themselves, and then just some codes and facts of life that they live by. And the G codes are just that. As everyone that comes on the show, I make sure they share, because someone might just need to duplicate and utilize that code that has made you successful, and that has also been a good, valid, and a merit for you to live off of. So what would be Tiffany's G codes?
So my G code would be to live richer. And so, which to me means to purposefully and passionately pursue your ideal life.
Wow.
So that means that whatever the thing is that you want, it's not just enough to go after it. Even the journey to the thing you want should be filled with purpose and passion.
Wow.
That's critical to me, because the journey and the dream really are one and the same. So many people miss that.
Wow.
They're like, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor. Great. That's the dream. The journey is medical school, and you hate every day of medical school. That's terrible. You are doing the wrong thing. You don't have to love every single day of medical school, but if you are on this 10-year, 8-year, whatever journey, and you hate every minute of it, how is that life? Because you spend most of your time on the journey.
Right.
So that's why I tell people to live richer. It's not about the money. A richness in life is like a fullness. So to purposefully and passionately, so with purpose, with passion, pursue whatever that thing is you want, that ideal life. So that way, there's goodness in getting there, and there's goodness in getting it.
Wow, you really just blessed me with that one. The journey and the dream are all one and the same. You know how many people keep that separated? I know I personally have had that separated, although I'm chasing what it is I want along the journey. I appreciate the journey and love it, but you never look at it from that standpoint. And just having that one G code to really sum that up, that I believe that one bless each and every person that's listening right now. Because that is so real. And as you mentioned, the G code of living richer, let's talk about the challenge. And I want you to, encourage my listeners to be a part of it. It's not too late. Once this plays, we're going to be in day 3, but it's definitely not too late to get on board with the Live Richer Challenge and share with us the books, of course, for them to get on to purchase and to support you on.
So the Live Richer Challenge is a free online resource and a 22-day challenge where you sign up at livericherchallenge.net. And after you sign up, what happens is that you begin receiving daily emails for 22 days. And those emails really will breadcrumb you to success. So this challenge, every year there's a new edition. This edition is really about savings. It's the savings edition. So I'm going to be teaching you how to reach your savings goals. 1, I teach you how do you set a savings goal, how do you reach it, how do you automate it, how do you make a little bit more money so that way you can really get your savings goal going. It's basically 3 weeks, and it's just simple as getting this email in your inbox. The email tells you exactly what to do on that day. That's it. And what I love most about the challenge is that once you join, you're invited to join our online private Facebook group called Dream Catchers. There are over 55,000 people in that group already, and in there you will receive support, accountability, encouragement. It is a safe place. It's a no-judgment zone. We don't allow for any negativity. We delete, we ban. I'm really strict about keeping it a safe, wonderful place to be. And so there's no question that you can ask that somebody of the 55,000 does not have an answer to.
That is definitely true.
So, yeah, it's just the challenge really is just this. It's more than money. It's a movement. So anybody wants to sign up, they can go to livericherchallenge.net, N-E-T, and they can join. And the beauty of the challenge is that when you start, you will be able to catch up because the challenge is also automated. So after the first week of the challenge, let's just say you start on the 3rd, you still have time to catch up. But if you start after the first week, it automates, it starts from the very beginning. So you'll be starting with day 1. So no matter what time you sign up, you're right on time whenever you're ready. And already I've written a companion book to the challenge, and it's called the Live Richer Challenge Savings Edition. And it has already been number 2 on Amazon, like within a few days of it coming out on their hot new release. list, Amazon Top New Release list, number 2, like right next to like Dave Ramsey and all the other famous like money people. Yeah, and so it's just honestly, it's just a great movement, and I'm just excited to grow every year. Like I said, we're already 60,000 people deep. We have 70 countries represented, 70 plus. I think we're at 75 now, all 50 states. And if you're looking to do it with somebody in the group, there's always somebody there who's like, yeah, girl, sign up with me. I'll do it with you.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to do it by yourself. Just join us at livericherchallenge.net.
And I just got to, even just give to the group, because somebody put a question out, it becomes about 400 or 500 comments afterwards of more advice and more ways to do this.
Yes.
Oh, girl, try this. Here's a picture. This is what I did.
Yes.
I'm
this
now.
Is what I did.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what I love about it, honestly. Because it's so crazy. When the group first started, it was like maybe like 30, 40 people. So I used to answer every question personally. Like, no, this is how you do it. And what I did that, so it was no big deal. And then even when we had 100 people, it was me and this other young woman who was a credit counselor who would answer all the questions. We could handle it. But as the group started to grow, I got nervous because I'm like, people are asking questions. Who's going to answer? I can't answer 1,000 people and still run my business. And after the challenge, what I did not realize is that after people took the challenge, I had created mini Budgetnistas.
You did.
They took the challenge. They learned how to fix their credit, get out of debt, do all these things. So I didn't have to answer every question. They were able to pull from the challenge and say, well, according to what Tiffany said, this is the best way.
Oh, yes.
And it brings me no greater joy than to be able to deliver information in a way that someone can not only learn it, but teach and share it. And so the group has just blossomed into all these amazing people who know the rules and how to manage their finances, and now are showing other people.
And I just gotta say, not only have you, like you said, you created little Budgetnistas, but you've really created a movement about getting your life together. Because how many times in life in general, people can't live to their fullest because of their financial situation. Mm-hmm. Even in marriages, a majority of marriages break down due to a financial situation. So you are really being a blessing to the masses, and just really, truly appreciate you for allowing yourself to be used in the magnitude that you are. And the Live Richer Challenge is changing my life, because I am learning how to be a secret shopper now, and how to package up my food in this Ziploc bag I saw the girls posting. So it's really great, and I'm really, really happy that you decided to move forward and turn this into this movement that is indeed changing lives in many places.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Now, my go-getters, as we come to an end, and I appreciate you, Tiffany, for being inside the G Code. I want everyone to follow you, so I know they can get you on Facebook at the Budgetnista, because you do have a like page as well, which is in private. You have your Twitter at the Budgetnista, and I see you are retweeting everybody who's reading Babylon from the Live Richer Challenge for day 2.
Today's task.
Yes, I have to do that task, so I haven't done it yet. I'm going to get it done today. And so please follow her. Make sure you check her out on Instagram as well. I believe you're on Periscope too, right? At the Budgetnista.
I'm on every social media platform you could think of. And it's just the Budgetnista, like fashionista, but Budgetnista. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, everything.
Yes, so make sure you follow her at all places, and I promise you that your life will fully be changed. And as she shared before, she gave you the details about joining the Live Richer Challenge, and I promise you, make sure you get on board. Tiffany, thank you so much for getting inside the G Code. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
You are welcome. So yes, my go-getters, thank you so much for tuning in and checking in for the first episode of the G Code with Miss Tiffany Aliche, aka the Budgetnista, the author, the speaker, the spokesperson, and definitely a woman on a mission to change the financial lives of so many women. And don't forget, please make sure you follow her. Please make sure you support her. I'm telling you to join the movement, join the Live Richer Challenge community, become a dream catcher, and I promise you your life will forever be changed by being a part of this group and definitely stepping into this challenge. Now, you already know I'm going to tell you, like I tell you each and every time, please make sure you subscribe to the G Code. Make it very familiar with your life. You can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube. You can download the podcast app called Podcast Addict. And make sure you got your iTunes app. If you listen to us on the computer, you can listen to us on your phone as well with the podcast app belonging to iTunes. And please, if you are really enjoying the G Code, leave a review. Let me know how much you like it. Let me know what you would like to hear more of. And you can email me at the G Code at ADRI.V thegogetta.com. It's just that simple. And you can go to ADRI.V thegogetta.com to check out more of the G Code. And speaking of ADRI.V, that is me. Don't forget to follow me on all social media platforms. You're on it. I am too. It doesn't matter what it is. Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, all the above. I am presently there at ADRI.V the Go Getter. Now, I just want to say thank you so much for coming inside the G Code, giving it to you each and every Wednesday afresh, but you can always replay it back whenever you decide to do so. And please subscribe, like, and share it with all your followers, all the people that's in your communities, and all the go-getters that you know. I love you so much for checking in. And again, like always, welcome to the G Code.